Welcome to the Legal Vendor Podcast, part of the Lawyer Minds ecosystem. The Legal Vendor Podcast is dedicated to exploring exceptional software and service vendors in the legal industry. Lawyer Minds goes into in-depth interviews asking real questions from each vendor with limited sales fluff. Learn how they can potentially help take your law firm to new heights. Each episode is sponsored by the vendor being interviewed. Ready? Let's dive in.
Jason Sweet, how are you?
Great, man. I'm good.
Welcome to the Legal Vendor Podcast. And as I guess people that have seen the first two will now see another change here. So going forward, myself and you will be the official hosts of the Legal Vendor Podcast on Lawyer Minds. Makes a lot of sense. You and I are both out hitting the pavement at conventions all the time, meeting other legal vendors out there, other really good companies that we like, or some really good people. So it makes a lot of sense for you and I to kind of tag team this.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been in the legal industry for a little over 8 years now, and I've seen my fair share of vendors have tried to build up my referral source for attorneys constantly coming to me, asking who I recommend. So I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, felt the heartaches. And so, yeah, happy to connect with vendors and discuss pain points, opportunities. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. And today we have a really special guest, Amy Fogle, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Milestone. So, we know Milestone, they have a very, very good reputation out there in the industry. We really like these people. I think they do a really good job. Have heard nothing but really good things about them.
Yeah, I've known Amy for a couple of years now, Milestone even longer. And the one big thing that I'll say about the company is they have my respect. There's a lot of vendors who are involved in the industry and exhibit and sponsor, but they go above and beyond. They have sponsorships that they support for the legal industry. They have various foundations that are geared towards plaintiffs' clients. So they're just really involved, and I think they've grown a lot as well, but they've done it the right way and continue to hold true to their values. So I'm excited. Amy's great, and excited to see what they have coming in 2023.
Cool. Let's dive in.
You're listening to the Legal Vendor Podcast, part of the Lawyer Minds ecosystem.
All right, Amy Fogle, CEO of Milestone. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. We're really excited to have you on today and learn more about who you are, what your company does in the legal industry, and have a good show. So let's start right out. And Amy, tell us a little bit about your background, your history and how you got into the legal industry.
Sure. Sounds good. So just introduce myself. My name is Amy Fogle. I'm the CEO here at Milestone. So my background it came from a different place. So I didn't start in the legal industry. I'm not an attorney. My background is really an undergrad in finance with an MBA. And my world started out on the broker-dealer side of finance. So I worked after I graduated college. I moved down to New York City. I worked on the trading desk for a while, really understood the ins and outs of the banking and finance industry. And what brought me to Milestone really about 3.5 years ago was the settlement planning side of our business. It was taking care of our clients. It was talking to them about holistic plans and how that's going to set them forward with the money they're receiving through a settlement. And then also on the attorney side as well, and what that planning looks like. So when I came here to Milestone, I was the director of wealth management, running everything on the settlement planning side, and really got curious about the industry and how we were doing things, and just kind of thinking through post-settlement soup to nuts and where there were gaps and holes and how we can be agile and innovative in the space, and took over as CEO about 1.5 years ago to really take that vision and execute it for our clients. So that's how I got here today.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So if you're like me, never in a million years would I have thought I would be working in the legal industry. If you would have told me 10 years ago, there's no way. And now that I'm here, I'm really happy I'm here. So
Take it from me, even if you try to get out, you get pulled back in. So
yeah, there's just so much nuance to what happens in this industry and how you can make a difference and how, like I said, you can solve problems. So it's been a really exciting ride for me, and I really enjoy it.
Awesome. And what does Milestone exactly do? So I know you have multiple facets, multiple different solutions you provide attorneys with. Why don't you just give us a little overview on what those are and how they help?
Sure. So Milestone at its core, so we are a qualified settlement fund administration company specializing in settlement planning for plaintiffs and also for attorneys. So we work in mass torts, we work in personal injury, to some extent class action, depends on what that looks like. And we streamline the post-settlement experience for attorneys. So what we've developed here at Milestone is innovative technology that allows for the plaintiff to receive an email or a text message at the time that they're able to receive their distribution or they're able to receive their settlement funds. And they're able to click on that unique link through their email or text message and go to what we call the pathway. And that pathway allows them to do a few things. So one, using DocuSign to sign their settlement, their closing statement. It also allows them to get educated on settlement planning. So one of our core pieces of our business is educating plaintiffs on the importance of settlement planning, what those tools are, and taking a look at each and every family and understanding what their needs are. So in the pathway, we're able to educate and allow people to opt into our services. And then lastly, in just a process where plaintiffs have no control, they don't know the timing, they don't know what's really happening next, or they're calling their attorney to figure out, the next phase. When they finally get to the phase of distribution, they're able to have some control. And the control really is, do I want my payment via ACH? Do I want it through Zelle, through PayPal, through a paper check? It gives options, and it also allows the underbanked and the unbanked to have a solution to receive their funds. So Milestone at its core is really that administrative company, but we have all these different facets that are all played out in the pathway.
Very cool. So you mentioned you guys are developing some of this stuff, but do you have a big dev team in-house, building out this technology, from the pathway side, is there like an app for that, or do people just use the web? How does all that work?
Yeah, we've grown a lot in our company over the last 2 years. It's really 170%. We've grown as far as human capital. And some of those people are really onboarding and what our technology looks like. How do we continue to innovate the pathway to serve our attorney partners? And as we know, each litigation is what I call a unicorn. They're all so different. They all have different nuances to them. And we want to make sure that we are agile as possible through the pathway to be able to change, to be able to innovate, to be able to continue to, help our attorney base. So we have to hire the right people with the right mindset that can have that high touch client service approach, but also can understand where is technology going and how can we add that to our team here at Milestone. So yeah, lots of tech people, and also just, people that are driven towards the same mission as someone on the accounting team or on the marketing team. We all have to have that same drive.
Yeah, speaking of growing, I've had the pleasure of knowing Milestone for years, and it's true, you have grown exponentially, and it's been amazing to see. But one of the the questions I had coming into this meeting was so I know Milestone, there's a few other settlement planners out there. What have you done in this growth process to sort of differentiate yourself amongst competitors? I know personally, some tidbits, but for the audience that may not be as informed, or maybe they knew Milestone from 5 years ago.
I think that's a great question. Thank you. I think a few different things. So 3 things come to mind. It's really the high touch client service approach that we take that I think is different. We're always available, attentive to our clients. And we really want to understand, like I said, we really want to understand those nuances to each case. How can we be helpful? How can we solve a problem? How can we use our agility to the advantage of our attorney partners? And I think that that just differentiates us and makes us unique in the space, because we're not just here to do A to Z. We're really here to figure out the best process that we can put in place to solve the problem. And then additionally, it's just the innovative technology in a world where, if you look at mass torts, it was a paper check. It was settlement statements that went out in the mail, and then you had to check a box. You had to send it back to the law firm. Someone had to input that information. Okay, you need a special needs trust. Let's put it in, and then let's find someone to help us with that special needs trust. And then it comes back, wait, you don't need a special needs trust. You need something else. So just in a world that was just all paper, we're just digitizing the approach. And there's also just the ESG piece that I think we feel really good about here at Milestone, is that we're just limiting the use of paper. I think what we looked at the statistics is like 35 tons of paper will be saved by using our digital pathway instead of using the paper approach. So that's a really powerful stat. And I think in this day and age, it just is a good thing that we can all feel good about.
Speaking of pathway and mass torts, it seems like it would apply to every type of case, but are there any specifics that you think this is specifically targeted towards?
Yeah, I think, we've been talking a lot about Juul lately, and I think that's the perfect litigation to utilize pathway for. If you think about the demographics of that litigation, it's 18 to 25-year-olds, people that are consistently on their phone and are willing and able to utilize all these different digitized approaches. So maybe Zelle, PayPal, that's how they want to get their money at the end of the day from any given settlement. But more importantly, the way that they want to communicate is through text message or through email. So I think it's the perfect litigation to see the pathway work from start to finish, from those emails and text messages all the way through to their payment selection at the end of the day, utilizing, Zelle as an example.
That's great. Yeah, the legal industry is not quick to adapt, but it sounds like this is going to be a game changer for every future generation moving forward. This is going to be the expectation, I would say, not the exception.
And that's what we're hoping for.
When you're building out some of this technology, have you been able to create things unique to the industry where you've been able to patent it or put some trademarks on?
Yeah, we have a trademark on the pathway, which we're excited about. We have one on Milestone too, but the pathway is really, it is exciting. It's a streamlined approach, and it's proprietary to Milestone. So I think that's a really exciting approach to what will be next.
That's awesome. That kind of leads into my next question. So what makes, this is in legal, there's so many competitors. We all have so many competitors. What kind of makes you guys a little different and stand out from your competitors?
Yeah, I think looking into the future, what will make us even more different will be the pieces that we add to the pathway over time. So right now, I think it's that agility. I think it's our innovative technology. I think it's our approach to our partners, and not only partners and the attorney partners that we work with, but also the vendors in the space that we work with. So there's a lot of different vendors that go into creating that post-settlement world. So we want to ensure that we work well together, we complement each other, and we get the job done so the plaintiff can get their money at the end of the day. So I think it's just our general approach to working with the industry. But also in the future, it's really adding all of those pieces. It's finding more solutions, finding more innovative technology that can either link into the pathway or can stand on its own. But I think our job isn't done with just the pathway. I think there's more to come, and that's really exciting.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, you mentioned pathway and mass torts specifically. So what is it about the mass tort, I say landscape, that I guess inspired pathway? What is sort of correct me if I'm wrong, but Milestone, the mass tort focus is sort of evolved over the last few years, and what has sort of pushed that?
Yeah, I think when you think about the mass torts that are happening right now, they're only getting bigger. There's more plaintiffs involved. And therefore, it's just there's more challenges, because how are you going to reach all of these people that are constantly moving and constantly having new addresses? It's very difficult to send checks out to individuals and go through the process when it's continuously changing, especially with that mass population. So that's what inspired us in the beginning, is when we're dealing with more and more plaintiffs, how can we continue to streamline? And that's where the idea came. Well, if you go anywhere else in your life, say you go out to dinner with your friends and you're paying for dinner, you can Venmo them the cash for dinner, or you're going to the grocery store nowadays. You can even pay with a digital means, or you can use your Apple wallet. There's all these different places in your life that you can utilize technology. Well, why can't you in the mass tort, if you're receiving a settlement in a mass tort? And that just got our brains going. Like, there's got to be a way, and there's got to be a way to have control over the back end. So when you're receiving money, you have to be able to understand what each individual situation is. The people that are unbanked, how are they receiving this money? They're going to a check casher at some point, and there's a lot of fees associated with that. I mean, we could save by using the digitized approach that we have, because people can get their funds on a prepaid MasterCard. It can be physical, it can be digitized on your phone, and that just will alleviate a lot of stress on the individuals that are receiving this money, and the underbanked as well. So they can use Zelle, they can use PayPal. There's lots of different solutions. So when you think about this industry just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and so many different individuals and so many different demographics, how can we solve that problem? And that's where the pathway came from.
That's awesome. So Milestone as a company, we go to a lot of conventions. We're part of some of the same organizations as Milestone. How do you guys as a company give back to your community, give back to the legal industry? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think there's two ways that we give back. One is through our Child Law Her Scholarship. It's a $10,000 scholarship that goes out to a rising 3L woman who's about to graduate law school. Our applications are open right now. We can send you the links. You can put in the show notes.
Yeah, let's do that.
And May 1st. So anyone out there that knows a 3L woman who needs $10,000 to pay for her student loans, please apply. So that's one way we give back. And then the second way is we have a nonprofit associated with our organization. It's called the Milestone Foundation. And the Milestone Foundation is a nonprofit that gives out non-recourse funding to plaintiffs in need. So we try to do our part in giving back to this industry and really just keep that civil justice mind when we're thinking about the industry as a whole, or just different pieces that we can help with.
So that's really cool. I'm not sure I've ever heard of another organization especially in your industry, create a nonprofit like that. That is really cool. Where did that come from? Like, what stemmed that idea? Was that an initiative you brought in when you joined the company, or has that been around for a little while?
No, it's been around for a little while. So John Baer, who is the founder of Milestone, he watched this industry for a really long time, and he just saw plaintiffs being ripped off or taken advantage of, or however you want to phrase it, when they were in a time of need. And what he wanted to do is fix that through a nonprofit lens and use a low interest rate that was non-compounding to just help people along the way while they're waiting for their settlement. Maybe they need to fix their car, maybe they need to pay rent, whatever the case may be, but we meet them where they are and what they actually need to get to the time of settlement, and give out those non-recourse loans. So it's been around for a long time, and it's really a passion project for John and the whole team here at Milestone, really.
Very cool.
I know personally, you guys have garnered a lot of respect over the years in the industry, and we all support in various ways, but you guys put your money where your mouth is of sorts, and actually done it consecutively year over year. So I've always been proud to know you guys. So
Thank you.
That's awesome. So looking towards the future, even, 2023 and beyond, are there any kind of exciting things you can share with us today that you're looking forward to?
I think it's a lot of innovation. So me and my team, we're looking at, like I said, those holes, those gaps within the process, and we're finding solutions to fix them. And then additionally, we're working with the other vendor partners in this space to say, how do we work better together? And how do we serve our attorney partners in the best way possible? So 2 different approaches, but really, using technology to our advantage.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Speaking of 2023, for any of our listeners that would love to speak with you or one of your team in person, or even sit in on a speaking topic, what are some of the events that people can connect with you at?
Really, anyone, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to jump on a call with anyone and talk through the Milestone story, what we do and how we do it, or specifically Pathway, giving demos and understanding the why behind Pathway and how it can affect your clients. So we're always happy to do those demos. And I think you could probably find us at almost any industry conference here in the next few months. And we look forward to connecting with your audience and other attorneys that are listening today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Legal Vendor Podcast. It's been a true pleasure, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed myself.
Absolutely. And we'll include anyone, who's listening to this in the car. I encourage you to stop by the website, lawyerminds.com, go to the specific episode, and in the show notes, we'll have links to, so you can connect with Amy and her team over at Milestone. So thanks so much and take care.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Amy.
That concludes another episode of the Legal Vendor Podcast, part of the Lawyer Minds ecosystem. Thank you for listening. We truly hope it was worth your time. Please consider subscribing to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Explore the other content that Lawyer Minds has to offer and engage with us on social media. Your feedback and ideas are always welcome. See you next time.